Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as I think it's probably two of the most popular bots. In the top left, it is none other than Eris, the top Zerg bot, and just the top bot in general. In the bottom right, we have got MicroMachine, the celebrity bot that is known for doing bot things, which is basically just abusing or using however much micro a bot can possibly do with unlimited APM. And so we're on the map Gresvin, the AI edition. It is going to be a TVZ, but more importantly, a bot versus bot, so the rules are a little bit different. However, ladies and gentlemen, if you do enjoy these types of casts, make sure to go ahead and slap that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and yeah, leave a comment that says more bots if you want to see more of these bots that feature these top bots. Let me know. So we do have a fast planetary seemingly being the strategy from MicroMachine, and that is one of the things that makes MicroMachine super fun to watch. You never really know what you're gonna get with it, and yeah, we'll see how well that fast PF is gonna work out. I think it'll work out just fine, as MicroMachine, well, Eris isn't a bot that attacks early, I think, ever really. Maybe in some matchup ZVZs, but in ZVT or ZVP, it just macros, I think. And that is one of the feature points of Eris. And so as a result, I think MicroMachine will get away with this early expand. It's going to make it into a PF, even though I don't think it really needs to against Eris. That being said, we do have MicroMachine just doing MicroMachine things, going to be getting out that bunker next to its gas geysers, so it can actually do the speed mining on Gresvin. The speed gas extracting, basically the SCV hops into the bunker, hops out super fast. That allows half as many SCVs to be used to mine the gas, which of course is better economically, and I guess more supply efficient, and just a little bit faster in general. So let's see, we do have that planetary now starting up at the natural. We'll see if that's going to be significant as this game goes on later on when Eris does start to attack. As, I mean, a planetary is very difficult to break, even for the top bots. Looks like a Ling is going to run on in for Eris. It will make it right by that depot. Unfortunately, the one downside of MicroMachine's gas mining is how loud it is. So, we'll do our best to ignore that. We have a starport on the way. Eris just macroing on up, getting out lots and lots of drones, seeing that there is a natural base up for its opponent. And MicroMachine will probably be the first aggressor here as it gets up a ragtag group of units, as it does tend to play with just an odd group of units, so it'll probably start attacking as soon as it gets out anything substantial, maybe whether it be a Banshee or a Cyclone or who knows. Now, Burrow is on the way for the Zerg, that's not surprising at all. And oh, there must have been a Reaper on the other side of the map, pardon me. Some of those drones are suspiciously softened up. There it is, pardon my observing. Eris, though, does a good job zoning that Reaper out, so it's not really going to find anything too significant. Yeah, it will run out of there now. We've got a tank on the way, a Banshee on the way for MicroMachine. Still doing that speed gas mining. It can potentially do that at the natural base, the third base. As for that speed gas mining to work, it's got to be the two geysers that are next to each other, which isn't really a factor in StarCraft 2 at all for regular players. I mean, maybe the gas positioning matters when it comes to like tank pushes and stuff. Oh, whether a siege tank can shoot one or both the refineries, but it's really not too significant at all. So it's just one of those things that Gresvin, technically, is a good map for MicroMachine, because it can do this on on its first two bases. Now, Eris just squeezing out a boatload of drones, as it's already up at that 60 worker mark. The speed mining is incredible, the way that it makes use of that. And I actually did find out from one of the pro bots, or the ES Champ YouTube shorts. They put up fantastic YouTube shorts, guys. It's actually that the speed mining was popularized by Scarlet's bot, 4Gate bot, as I guess her bot was the first one to make use of it. That allowed it to 4Gate with extra ferocity, and once that was discovered, it allowed 4Gate bot to be able to get a lot of wins during its initial hype. And I didn't know that till I watched the ES Champ video. Looks like a Ling for Eris does find the SCV and kill it off at that third command center, so that's nice. A little bit of a pain there. We've got a few more Lings out on the map. The Reaper, or no, pardon me, not the Reaper. A Banshee is looking for some damage. It's getting zoned out by those Queens, by that Spore Crawler, so it will look for whatever attack angle works. We've also got these Lings being zoned out, so Eris does test poke and prod a little bit in the early game. So never any big attacks, but it is pressuring MicroMachine a little bit here. It's gonna get an engagement going as some of those Lings have success. They grab like a Marine or two, but a lot of them do get cleaned up due to that tank and just due to the fact that there is enough of an army for a MicroMachine to defend. Eris is now getting out Roaches. It is a bot that likes Hydras. It also makes Vipers sometimes. And then MicroMachine just getting up to its third base, so it's not too surprising that this game is just a little bit of harassment and just general macro between these two. Drones can burrow to avoid the Banshees. That's a big strength of Eris. It is also getting out those Spore Crawlers, notably tucking them extra close to the mineral patch, even though it might interfere with the mining a little bit, but not too significantly, and that actually does help with zoning out the Banshees big time. So slight adjustment by the bot developer there. This one is in the normal position. This one's in the normal position. These two are hugging the minerals. The Banshee is looking for whatever it can. It's currently got 2 kills. Those drones are burrowing and staying safe. It's actually rather simple. As I say that, these drones are getting killed off with another Banshee coming on in. It is somewhat simple to keep your workers safe from Banshees when the Banshees are visible. You basically just say, oh, well, Banshee's near a worker, just have the worker burrow. And we are seeing these drones burrow when the Banshees are visible, I think is actually the catch here. As when they're cloaked, the workers can't exactly tell where the Banshee is, I guess. And so MicroMachine is having some success with these Banshees, killing off a decent number of drones. 10 going down already. That being said, Eris's economy is pretty darn good. Hydras are trying to zone out these Banshees. The Banshees do take a bit of heat, but we do see drones can be shot down before they burrow in time. Sometimes, anyway. And so the harassment of MicroMachine with the Banshees being a nuisance, and MicroMachine, I imagine, as a result of this Banshee harassment, much like Ketrock's bot, actually probably makes it one of the more difficult bots to play against. Just making sure we got that music on. Let me make sure we got continuous music here. We do. Let me just turn up the volume a little bit. Pardon me, just doing things on the fly. I'm always looking for feedback on the audio levels and stuff for my casts. Okay, Spire now on the way for Eris. Well, finish, so it can potentially get out Corruptors that will allow it to assign one of those to a Banshee and chase it away, or better yet, a Muta. Eris is not a bot that makes Mutas, except when it does come to dealing with these speed Banshees, so the relentlessness of bot Banshee harassment has actually prompted the developer of Eris to make something that specifically counters these Banshees. Fun fact, the Muta is one of the few Zerg units that can actually chase down one of these speed Banshees. They are incredibly quick. They can outrun Overseers when they're cloaked, but they cannot outrun the Banshees themselves, and we are seeing a good number of Mutas be on the way out. So this will signify the end of the Muta harassment, or of the Banshee harassment. Meanwhile, on Eris' side of the map, however, we do have a 4th and a 5th base going up at the same time, so big economic steps for the Terran. It's also starting to poke a little bit with its ragtag army, some Banshees, some Hellions, some Marines and Marauders, and a couple of tanks. SCVs are all over the place. I'm not sure what their goal is. Maybe to repair some of those units. We are seeing Eris take not the best fight as the tanks just shell away. I was gonna say shell away, I was gonna say Shrek. Either way, it kind of describes what happened there. The Raven is nice in the army to help kill off those burrowed units. We're also seeing MicroMachine drop lots of scans. Command Center gets delayed a little bit by the mutas, which are actually being used for harassment, interestingly enough. As I feel like this isn't something we see from Eris too much. Maybe I'm misremembering. But mutas really aren't too common or too significant in these bot games. They have signified the end of the Banshee harassment, though. Marauders from MicroMachine are microing back and forth. They're pretty darn good against roaches, but when the roaches can just burrow and escape, they are not that good, and so these boys do want to get on out of there. They're very injured, very overstimmed. Medivacs have got their work cut out for them to heal these Marauders, and they're staying alive. They're injuring so many roaches. However, they're not getting the kills they need as that Raven is not present. The Raven is elsewhere on top of all these siege tanks, holding the, dare I say, unbreakable tank position, as anything that runs forward here is just going to get deleted. The mutas have been harassing a little bit. We do, however, have the 5th base up for MicroMachine, and these are 2 orbitals, so interestingly enough, the only base that was turned into a planetary was the natural. We're seeing lots of Hydras on the way for Eris, getting a Lurker Den. Lots of Vikings from MicroMachine as it's got a healthy tank count, and just trading out with its ragtag group of units. A battlecruiser flying forward randomly, Marauders picking off whatever it can. And this kind of goes against conventional StarCraft wisdom, but MicroMachine has shown us time and time again that just engaging and disengaging with good micro, you can get good trades. So now we're seeing MicroMachine inch forward. Lots and lots of tanks getting some shells off. However, now the battle cruiser is on the enemy side as it does get neural parasited. It gets killed off, so that's a nice pick-off for Eris. Eris is still on a very beastie economy as well, with 94 workers and 7 bases in total. MicroMachine is now getting up at 6. And yeah, things are looking a little interesting here. Eris not taking the best trades, actually taking very poor trades. So that could bode poorly for it if MicroMachine can, say, get up 1 more base here, or even off the current bases they have. If it can keep trading as well as it has, I think MicroMachine will be in a pretty good spot. The mutas are harassing. They denied a little bit of mining. They haven't got too much done. We do see MicroMachine getting out more and more upgrades as well, as we listen to the sweet sounds of that speed gas mining. And yeah, MicroMachine just dropping mules maxed out. Both of these bots are maxed out. The tank count has become quite a problem, as is the case for many bots. Eris is having a bit of a difficult time, though. We are now seeing fungal growth go down. Vikings eating a parasitic bomb, getting a kill off on that Viper. And yeah, we see lots of siege tanks going off all over the place. Yeah, the tanks so far seem pretty infallible. Vikings shooting away on these mutas, chasing them away. And yeah, so far just doing a good job zoning them out. Constantly skirmishing. The upgrades are looking good for both sides. Eris has a bit of an upgrade lead, I'd say, with 2-2, 3-2 on its ground, soon to be 3-3. MicroMachine just really getting 2 across the board, not even +2 armor. Tank gets abducted by the Viper. So as we see Eris start to get more of an upgrade lead, potentially mix in more spellcasters, it could get better trades. The tanks from MicroMachine are inching forward, and they will do well for it as always. It is replacing some of the ones it lost. However, this base is being bullied by Eris. Cyclones, Marauders, trading out against these units. The BC is really good at trading out against small groups of Zerg because it takes a lot to kill them off. No Yamato cannon has been researched for MicroMachine, so it won't actually use that, even though it could have definitely killed off some of those infestors there. It looks like this command center was lifted off. It's a really nice move for Eris, whereas MicroMachine got up another orbital command, so it really isn't down a base. However, losing any bases could signify potentially downward slope for MicroMachine. Both bots still at pretty decent supplies. Neural Parasite going to allow this BC to be an enemy. However, that Neural Parasite does get interrupted there. Lots of Vikings are still in the sky for MicroMachine, so a very formidable air army. Eris's ground army is no joke. We see a couple of Lings harassing the space down here. There's still the odd Muta out. I'd love to see a Yamato Cannon, or Yamato Cannon in general, get researched, because it's a spell that really builds efficiency over time, particularly from MicroMachine, which is just always engaging with its units. The trades are still fantastic for MicroMachine, and in the past minute or so, they've actually been really good, with 33,000 resources lost to 14,000. MicroMachine reestablished this base. It's repairing it up. It's getting this base online. One Ling, unfortunately, not denying this, and that could bode very poorly for Eris. If it's not able to get up another base, or if it's not able to deny some of the bases for MicroMachine. And honestly, selection bias is very problematic for Eris when it comes to replays being selected. In the late game, it doesn't always do super well. However, I think we are seeing a lot of need for Eris to maybe change up its composition or its strategy a little bit here, as I have cast a few games now, which it has struggled in the late game. We see some Ling harassment trying to go on in. However, these Hellions are incredibly good against Lings, even though they do not have Blue Flame yet. Here go in the Lings once again, but they have to get out. There's multiple siege tanks set up. There's Hellions, siege tanks. Those Lings will not have the success they need. Both armies have taken a bit of a pause, which has allowed them both to max out. We see Eris securing this base up here. No claim on this location to the north yet. One Muta still being a pain. But I think the next engagement is going to be really important in this game. We see Hydra stepping forward. The tanks are already set up, though. There is no Vipers on deck for Eris. This means the tanks can get off some really big shots. However, Hydra's closing the distance rather quickly, picking off a good number of the siege tanks. That was quite a nice trade for Eris, cleaning out most of the tank count. However, as I say that, there's 4 more on the high ground, so these Hydras going in, they're going to need to kill these off real quick before they kill off the army of Eris. We see a battle cruiser get neural parasited once again, so that's really good efficiency. Hellions can get cut up by the Hydras. Once again, the 3-3 is really nice for Eris, and this has allowed it to take a much better trade than if MicroMachine had +3 across the board. However, eventually this location, or this attack, will fizzle out. I think a battle cruiser gets Yamato Cannon, or neural parasited, pardon me. And looks like that Infestor will be killed off. The BC gets teleported. I'm not sure where to. Oh, does anyone... I lost my battle cruiser. Has anyone seen my battle cruiser? Okay, to the right, to the back of the base, so it's fine. Eris does have to abandon that attack, and it left with less than it needed there. It needed to shut down a base or something. Killing off the tanks was really nice, so it wasn't a terrible trade for Eris, all things considered. And if it can do that again, it might have more success with the follow-up. However, MicroMachine is getting those better upgrades now with +2 armor finishing across the board. It will strengthen those units. They'll die slower to the Hydras. We are seeing some tanks bullying. Eris is going to need to take this engagement sooner rather than later, as the Vikings in the sky are not too useful for MicroMachine, which kind of leads the supplies to be a bit misleading. These tanks are kind of getting ignored by the Hydras, so they do get some big shots off. And please, Eris, kill that siege tank. It is not choosing to do so. It actually totally just ignores it. Another neural parasite goes down on a battle cruiser. Eris is programmed to target those down as soon as they are neuraled, realizing they're easy pickings. However, there's still plenty that have not been neural parasited. There's another neural, though. Hydra's gunned that one down instantly. So we are seeing these Hydras take an okay trade. There's another neural parasite. Those are big losses for MicroMachine. Hydras have denied the mining at this location for a time. If they kill off the command center, that would be real nice. Another battle cruiser is being killed off there. The command center does have to lift off. SCBs are repairing. Hydras are stepping forward into mass siege tank fire. I think the base is going to live. There's just not quite enough Hydras. So the first half of that trade was really good for the Zerg. The second half, not so much. We are seeing a random Hydra attack over here. Kills off a barracks. So Eris once again took an okay trade. Resources lost increasing at about the same rate for both sides. And Yeah, it's tough to say which bot is going to win this game. We do have to keep in mind that Eris has taken the extra base. I believe it's the one extra base. It definitely needs both of these locations, though, to keep its mining going, as it is really starting to mine out some of its earlier locations. Basically, the first 4 bases are gone. That being said, that will be the same case for MicroMachine. Both bots still have very healthy incomes if we pull that up. For the time being, 3,700 is pretty darn good. We are seeing Eris get pushed back now as the tanks and battle cruisers are synchronizing nicely. A few Hydras step forward. They're shooting away on the Vikings, but the tanks shelling away is really problematic. The Hydras can go on in once again, but man, oh man, not in the range of those siege tanks. They can't, and they are going to get not even one of the siege tanks. The need for Vipers is really being shown, but and again, the Vikings might have just killed them off. And yeah, that was very, very poor for Eris, so it may lose this base here. And losing the base will be disastrous. Having MicroMachine take it, I think, will be a death sentence if it allows that to happen. We are seeing smaller trades really favor MicroMachine, as that seems to be the case. Eris had its big success with when it was maxed out with the 200 fights, and it's just not able to reach that again, as did get baited into a fight trying to defend that location. And we'll see if MicroMachine's able to do that again. The tank line is just so darn formidable. Zerg bots have a really tough time dealing with siege tanks, and with just Hydras, it's almost impossible. Eris kills those rocks, interestingly enough, opening up an attack path. MicroMachine, though, is still getting aggressive. It's not just saying, hey, I killed that base, now let's turtle. It's a fighter. MicroMachine will not give Eris more time than it needs to, and that's really problematic, as Eris is still down 40 supply in total. Does kill off the odd battle cruiser here and there, but the tank line is just so darn deep. And that one big fight that it had earlier, in which it killed like 8 tanks, that was really good. However, MicroMachine has recovered from that. Eris is in a spot of bother. I think the siege tanks are repositioning. If Eris were to attack now and bypass the army of MicroMachine, that could be where it would have success. However, MicroMachine is now pivoting down south towards just such a critical base for Eris. And yeah, the siege tank's super problematic. We got 12 more Hydras on the way. MicroMachine, though, got a good bank to its name. Still got lots of mining to go. It's even got a couple of random floating command centers, which is bizarre. But yeah, the tanks are so problematic. Eris is a little unsure of what to do, it seems like. Looks like it went for a bit of an attack. However, there was too much here for MicroMachine to defend it. And I think Eris is just going to be baited into another really poor fight trying to save this base. There is only a couple of the tanks here. MicroMachine has repositioned some of them to the north as it's cleaning up that creep. So these bots are being pulled in multiple locations. Not all of the army is here for MicroMachine. If Eris was to take a fight, it would be now when the tanks are not sieged. In goes Eris. It's diving on in. Lots of the tanks do get gunned down rather quickly. Eris pulls out, so that wasn't half bad. Battlecruiser gets neural parasited, and it does get gunned down. Another BC gets neural parasited. However, while the BCs are getting killed, the tanks are getting shots off. There's another battlecruiser. There's another neural parasite. However, tanks, once again, shooting the Hydras that prioritize killing off the BC. And I'm wondering if it would be best for Eris's bot author to make the BCs walk towards the Infestor. Of course, that would be a double-edged sword, because once the neural runs out, then the BC could kill the Infestor, but it does seem like it's making the Hydras stay in the line of fire a little bit more, so who knows, maybe that's a slight tweak that could be made to the bot. And once again, we can't read too much into a single bot game, and I think for Eris's sake that is a good thing, as it has had a really tough time this match. Losing that last base, MicroMachine is looking to secure this location. Great creep cleanup. I say that, I might have jinxed it a little bit, as those tumors are not being dealt with. And MicroMachine, yeah, it's doing that total Terran bot thing. I should not have said great creep cleanup. It looked like it was going to be good, but I think a lot of these Terran bots, they struggle with creep that just extends towards the base, not where the tumor is actually there. And so this is a problem we've seen in the past with a couple of bots, and it's been really pivotal in a few games. I think in this game it's not going to matter, as Eris is just broke as a joke. Not really making too much. It has kept this base alive for now, But resources lost, it's 77,000 to 46,000. The bots, well, Eris does still have a slight base lead while this one isn't mining for MicroMachine. And the creep, once again, pulling us off. If you're a Terran bot author and you do creep checks before you expand, you got to make sure there's actual no creep around the base. As, yeah, we've seen that a few too many times. I think this is just Eris once again having a hard time with late game cost efficiency and maybe needing some tweaks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one and you enjoyed seeing MicroMachine kind of kick butt and show us that it is still a fantastic bot, I think it's like number 2 on the ladder right now. As I know in the previous video I said, oh, it's been a while since MicroMachine's been on the ladder. The bot author re-added it to the ladder, which is really darn great to see, and no surprise it's kicking butt. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to the channel if you made it all the way to the end of this video. Join the Discord, which is linked down below, and leave a comment if you haven't already. That does help with the YouTube algorithm. You can type absolute gibberish, and it does help out. You know, let me know what you had for lunch today or something like that. And yeah, big thanks to everyone that does support the channel as a YouTube member. We did hit our goal of 10, so thanks so much to everyone that does support there. And I'm gonna keep doing these bot videos as these games continue to be darn good. I think, what would be a good matchup against MicroMachine? Maybe MicroMachine against Sharkbot, although I know I did promise some Xena matches, and I've still got to get around to casting some more of those, so maybe MicroMachine against Xena would be a good match. Some of those, I think. Xena's Zerg against MicroMachine, maybe? Creep's still yet to get cleaned up, unfortunately. But yeah, otherwise, great game from MicroMachine. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.